Greetings and welcome to a special end of the year community news video, taking a look back on the major headlines and new mod releases in 2018. Now, some of you may be wondering, hey, what happened to the community news videos for November and December? Well, I decided it might make a bit more sense to just cover these months here in a year in review video, instead of making 3 separate videos altogether. So that's what we're doing here. And in any event, 2018 was just an amazing year for the community, with a ton of new developments, new mod releases, and much more. And we're going to start things off by taking a look back at November and December, and then just cover a quick highlight of what all happened in 2018. First and foremost, there are about 40 new mods released in November, and 69 mods released in December. Compared to past years, November 2016 saw only 19 new mods get released, while November 2017 had 51 new mods get released. So we're a bit down year over year, but in comparison, December 2016 had 53 new mod releases, and December 2017 had 48 new mod releases. So we've made up for a rather underperforming November with a pretty active December, just all things considered here. This brings 2018 to about 730 new mod releases in total, the first time the community has broken the 700 number since at least 2011, and possibly more since we don't actually have any records going back before 2011, due to the demise of Planet Elder Scrolls. And in any event, with just the sheer number of modding accomplishments and new things have been achieved with Morrowind for the first time last year, I can say with little doubt that 2018 has been the best year for the just Morrowind modding community in the last decade, and I dare say it heralds the start of a new golden age of Morrowind modding. But anyway, moving on to some of the headlines that we missed back in November and December 2018, our first headline from back in November is that Alien Slof appears to have returned, re-uploading all of their old mods onto the Nexus here. Now, perhaps best known for their Better Beast mod, Alien Slof has created a number of new race, items, and graphical mods, which are now, for the first time, all available on the Nexus. Before, I believe they were mostly only available on Alien Slof's personal website, so they've doubtless been overlooked by, many before. I don't think we've actually gotten around to showcasing any of Alien Slof's work, so, that's something we'll need to just do in the future. Moving on to the headlines from December, perhaps the biggest news is a new release of Skyrim Home of the Nords, with some 40 new quests to play through, with regional and faction storylines, as well as miscellaneous quests. This makes the Skyrim Home of the Nords release the second biggest quest release in 2018, behind the over 50 new quests added with Tamriel built Old Ebonheart back in July. And that means you'll find dozens of hours of new content to check out in both of these just massive, province mods. And as for other news in December, one of the more exciting mod releases is MUSE, a Morrowind music system extended by Rebirth, a mod that has pretty great potential for improving the atmosphere and experience of Morrowind. Basically, this mod uses MWSE to overhaul the game's music system by making it possible to set up a unique playlist for different regions, like, the West Gash or Ascayan Isles, as well as for different types of interiors, like the Hlaalu or Telvanni, and even different types of dungeons, like Velothi Tombs or Caverns. There's just a lot of customization available here, which will let you create a truly unique Morrowind experience without having to hear the same old-bit amazing tracks by Jeremy Soule over and over again. Though you could always add some of Jeremy Soule's other soundtracks to the game, like, maybe have the soundtrack to Neverwinter Nights play when you're in Telvanni territories, or perhaps have one of the Guild Wars soundtracks, play when you're in the city of Vivec, or just what have you. But anyway, in additional headlines here, Fablewind 1.25 has been released, including the new region of Morningwood, and the somewhat scenic yet vaguely creepy Morningwood Fort, both of which are locations from Fable 3. This is a fairly large region really, located just south of Oakfield, and there's a few rather notable locations to be found as you explore this new area, though keep in mind it's still lacking interiors. And Fablewind 1.25 also introduces the new Rookridge region here, from Fable 2. And going into 2019, this is still a really just exciting project that's definitely worth keeping an eye on. And we have just a couple more major headlines from December here, including most notably the release of Morrowind Rebirth 4.9, which, as always, makes dozens of new additions and changes to this biggest of the big overhaul mods for Morrowind. Perhaps most notably, Rebirth 4.9 makes some major changes to the city of Outrun, which until now has been mostly just been overlooked by Rebirth outside of a few minor changes here and there. And of course, the temple complex that was originally merged into Rebirth from a Expand mod. Rebirth has also started making changes to the Dwemer dungeons on Red Mountain, and there's a ton of just other minor changes and additions, some of which we'll be getting to in a new Morrowind Rebirth video later this month, or sometime in early February, just depending on recording times. And anyway, another headline here for December is of course the surprise release of the Stros McCoy in the 3rd Era Alpha build by the Grey Wizard. Released on Christmas Day, Stros McCoy is probably one of the bigger surprise LMS releases of 2018. Though again, it's still very much an alpha, and there's a lot, left to do before it's truly a fully finished mod. But still, you can explore this famous island from the Elder Scrolls Adventures for yourself, and there's a few really interesting locations for you to discover here. Now, finally, one last headline from December that really ought to, just be mentioned here is that Vality 7 is back and active in the community. I mean, technically, he never actually really left. He's just been sort of lurking in the background for years now, posting the odd comment here or there. But now, he's actually publicly involved in the community again, working on the alpha release of Shivering Isles. And really, this is, just pretty amazing news. Vality 7 is a legend in the modding community, and now that he's back, you can actually, follow progress on his Shivering Isles mod over on his Discord server, a link to which you can find down below. And speaking of Shivering Isles, with any luck, that'll be one of the surprise mod releases going into 2019. Just another thing to look forward to in this amazing new golden age of Morrowind modding. One last thing I nearly forgot to mention here. December also saw the release of Morrowind Enhanced Textures by DASD, which has already garnered a fair amount of attention both inside and outside the Morrowind modding community, for it's just a novel approach to upscaling textures, using the ISSCAN, or Enhanced Super Resolution Generative Adversarial Networks method of neural network upscaling, which is really quite the mouthful. Some of you may have probably already seen the article in PC Gamer about this mod, and now obviously we'll be doing one of our, usual showcase videos that we do for all of these major texture replacement mods like this, that, will be about 2 or 3 hours long, and that'll air sometime in the next, week or two. So you guys can check out the improved visuals, before installing this mod for yourself, since the mod download page doesn't have that many screenshots on it. And now real quick, we do have the Province Mod Report, first up being Tamriel. Obviously the big news for TR in 2018 was the release of Old Ebonheart, including the eastern bank of the Third River, a couple of smaller villages, and of course the massive city of Old Ebonheart itself, as well as some 50 new quests, a number of new dungeons, and much more. Heading towards the end of the year though, and going into 2019, Tamriel is primarily focusing on the Third River Valley, to the south of Anthurian, which, along with the western bank of the Anthurian region, will probably be the focus of future releases. There's also been a few minor changes here and there, with the Ruinous Keep, originally in the Inlet Bog region, just north of Almalexia, being moved out into the Padomiak Ocean, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. Apparently, this is going to be a remnant of Euroseptim F5's attempted, invasion of Akavir, which is, part of Tamriel history. Moving on, though, Skyrim of the Nords has also had a pretty stellar year, obviously what with the December quest release, but also just in terms of progress made on exterior and interior development. The City of Dragonstar is almost completely finished as far as interiors and exteriors go, and will probably be, the focus of the next release, and who knows, that might even be in 2019. Markarth is also under interior development, and is also pretty much exterior complete, and the City of Solitude, aka Hafingar, is now under exterior development, along with pretty much, a lot of the surrounding region, including numerous small villages, ruins, and other locations of interest. And as I pointed out before, you can track a lot of this progress on the Project Tamriel Discord server, including some really just great screenshots, and of course you'll find a link to that, down below. And finally, for the Province Mod reports, we have Province Cyrodiil, which didn't have quite as much notable progress in 2018. There was a minor update back in autumn with a few bug fixes and a few new additions for the island of Sturk, but otherwise, current progress is still focusing on interior development for the City of Anvil. And along the northern Gold Coast, exterior development is almost finished around the city as such, and according to Intragris, one of the lead developers, it's unlikely that there will be any major release of Anvil in 2019, but a 2020 release isn't necessarily out of the question. Next up, we have a few short end-of-the-year reports from TS3MP and OpenMW. First up, TS3MP had a bit of a slow year compared to 2017, but David Sanat has still fixed over half of the remaining synchronization issues for multiplayer, and what's left to do should be finished by sometime later this year. And looking into 2019, there's a possibility that TS3MP will add additional scripting mechanics similar to the Minecraft modding scene, but we'll just have to wait and see for that. As for OpenMW, there was one major OpenMW release in 2018 with the 0.44 release back in July, and OpenMW 0.45 is now in RC phase, which means it'll probably release fairly soon, maybe even sometime in the next month or so. Overall, OpenMW had a fairly slow but steady year as far as development goes, working tirelessly towards that ever-close 1.0 release. And one important thing to note here, I believe both weapon sheathing and recast navigation, which is improved AI pathfinding, are now available in the OpenMW nightly builds, which is, obviously a pretty big deal. But anyway, moving on from the project headlines, we have some more specific stats regarding OpenMW and MWSE mods released in 2018. Overall, in 2018, there were 68 new MWSE mods released for Morrowind, making up almost 10% of all new mod releases in 2018. Not all of these were MWSE Lure mods, of course, but still, that's a pretty high number, and a definite improvement on past years. In comparison, around 40 new OpenMW mods were released in 2018. Now, a lot of these were mod conversions, but some, like animated containers for OpenMW, are fairly notable for their additions to the game's just functionality. Now, I do need to add a disclaimer here, because both of these figures are estimates, because I only count mods released on official modding platforms like the Nexus, Great House Legacy, and the Assimilation Lab. Now, a lot of smart MWSE mods have been released on Discord either for testing or just a limited public release, and a lot of OpenMW mods, if you can even call them mods, are released on GitHub or the OpenMW forums. So, just to take these figures with a grain of salt. Now, there's just one more thing I wanted to cover here, and that's a comparison of how 2018 stacks up against past years. Now, since our YouTube channel first launched in 2014, I've been keeping track of the estimated number of new mod releases each year, and so let's take a look at how 2018 does when compared to the past 4 years. Now, in 2014, there were an estimated 350 new mods released in the community. 2015 had roughly 500 new mod releases. 2016 increased that to about 600 new mod releases, and 2017 ended the year with about 650 new mods released. And in comparison, 2018, as we've already said, had about 730 new mod releases, and that's about double the total mods from 2014, when the channel started. And that really is just an amazing level of just consistent yearly growth, which really you wouldn't expect from a game as old as Morrowind. Which I think just goes to show that there's something truly special about this community, that year after year we can continue to not only put out great mods, but to put out more and more of them with each passing year. And with any luck, perhaps 2019 we'll see a new milestone. Maybe we'll finally break 800 new mod releases this year, and wouldn't that be something? But there's one other milestone that we hit in 2018 that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's the fact that for the first time, as far as I know, the Morrowind modding community actually released more mods in 2018 than the Oblivion modding community. The Oblivion modding community released about 560 new mods in 2018 compared to the 730 mods that we released, and, that is just a pretty massive difference. And not only that, just think about it for a second. Morrowind came out in 2002, Oblivion came out in 2006. Yeah, we released almost 200 more mods for Morrowind in 2018 compared to Oblivion, and that to me, that is just utterly amazing. That is really just one of the defining headlines, I think, of 2018. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up everything for our Year in Review community news video. As always, you can find a list of links for each project and headline mentioned here down below. And to say the least, 2018 was an amazing year for Morrowind modding, an absolute new golden age. So let's make 2019 even better and release even more mods, with brand new adventures, game-changing features, and new lands to explore. Because the best games never die, long live Morrowind, and long live the modding community. And anyway, I'll see you all next time.